All right, so I want to talk about systemizing your coaching business. This is an issue that I see with a lot of online fitness coaches. It's kind of funny, right? We tell our clients to track their calories, track their training, but when it comes to our business, we don't track shit. And that often bites us in the ass real hard. So in this video, I'm just going to walk you through what exactly you can systemize and how you can systemize it. All right. In case you need a little bit of proof, this is me. June, all online fitness revenue. This was $87,000 in a month. This was before I even did any business mentoring, etc. And if you're wondering, yo, JP, how did you jump 257% from the previous month? It was because I got these systems in place. Once I understood my numbers, everything became crystal clear to me. And I was just able to say, hey, okay, my close rate's down. Let me do this, this, this. My show rate's down. Let me change this, this, and this. And it became very clear to me what I needed to work on. So I was no longer just working harder. I was working smart in redirecting all of that hard work back into smart things. So at the end of this video, you should have a good idea as to how you can build out a simple tracking system for your coaching business to bring in more clients, get more leads, bring in some more cash, all that good jazz stuff, right? So why do we need to track stuff? I talked about this in depth on last week's webinar call or workshop call that last Sunday, but we need to track stuff because it helps us avoid what's called shiny object syndrome, which is basically when you're always fucking looking for the next best thing. Oh my God, what is this? What is this? What is this? It's like the client that never sticks to the workout routine because they always think there's something good out there. Oh, well, I actually saw this new unilateral lat pull down that I wanted to try. Oh, I actually saw this this bilateral unilateral try. Well, shut up, right? Stick to the basics and you get good at it. Same advice I'm gonna give you. The same advice you give a client that was constantly switching up their workout routine, not seeing any results, is the same advice I'm going to give you. Do something consistently until you have the data to know that it works. That ties into my next point, which is we want to be avoiding, reactive behavior. We want to be avoiding reactive behavior. Why do we want to avoid that? Well, you can imagine if there's a day with no sales, it doesn't exactly mean we should change things. It doesn't mean we should throw our whole process out the window and adopt a new one. No, what we should do is use the last 90, 60, 100 days to make that decision for us. And then decisions will be made so much easier when you actually have confidence and data behind it. So that's the main point behind data, is it helps us avoid reactive behavior, number two. And then number one is avoiding that shiny object syndrome, because I know we all struggle with it. Number three, what does it allow us to do? It helps us make smarter and more informed decisions. As business owners, you might feel like there's constant fires to be put out. Like you constantly got to worry about this thing or this thing or this client or this client. No. With a system in place, you have a clear agenda for every single day of what you need to work on. And if I gave you a process, let's just say I wrote out a process and I gave you it, how many of you watching this are pretty confident you could stick to it? I'm guessing all of you. That's how a workout plan works. Problem is, business isn't a workout plan. So we have to critically think about our process a little bit. But with data, we are then enabled to make smarter decisions and be less emotional. The first thing I tell any client that works with me is I want them tracking their data, right? I want them to actually critically think about the questions they're asking me so that they can develop themselves, not only mentally, but business-wise and physically as well. Now, let's delve into the numbers that actually matter. The big thing that I see with tracking numbers is a lot of people get bogged down in what I call vanity metrics. Vanity metrics basically mean stuff that isn't going to move that needle forward for the business. It might be views, but not considering how many people are actually reaching out to you, how many leads you're getting. It's not considering that. It's just, okay, how many followers do we have? How many likes are we getting? It's kind of fucking stupid, in all honesty. So what we're going to be focusing on is what I call our productive metrics, which are the ones that I'm about to go through with you. As far as productive metrics for traffic, what do we have? Well, we have weekly reach is number one. So what I mean by this is how many new accounts are we reaching weekly? I think this can be done pretty easily within the Instagram app. All you have to do is go to the settings on your profile. Then you go to your accounts history, the analytics. Then all you have to do is, once you're in that little dashboard, you have to sort your analytics for the past 7 days or so. And then what you'll be able to do is see, okay, how many new accounts did I reach? And that's going to be a good indicator of how good your top of funnel content is working. How many eyeballs is it bringing in? And then also pay attention to the demographics. What age range are we bringing in? Is it male or female that we're bringing in? Which gender, right? What's demographic of, what population, right? What area of the world do they come from? Because all this is going to help inform future content decisions. Next, okay, we have profile visits. This is just people that tap on the profile, so it kind of goes in tandem with weekly reach. A lot of these things will go in tandem with one another. You're going to see them repeated throughout this video. But an important one that I see a lot of folks misunderstand is content to DM ratio. In essence, this is going to measure inbound DMs. We talked about inbound DMs last video, but the core essence of inbound DMs is essentially you are getting leads to send DMs to you by opting in to receive some lead magnet, or maybe they're interested in coaching. Inbound means coming to you. You have leads that are coming into your inbox. So little Timmy here, right? Let's say this is your Instagram DM messenger, whatever it's called. Little Timmy is going in and being like, yo, I want coaching, right? He wants it, right? So that's what an inbound DM is, and that's how we evaluate our content to DM ratio. We just look at our views, we look at how many content posts we're making, and we see how many DMs we are getting from that. Next, we have lead generation, okay? This also ties in with the inbound DMs and the content to DM ratio. Like I said, there's some overlap here, but basically we just want to be taking the total inbound leads per week. So how many people, right? How many folks are actually coming to us interested in our fitness coaching? So how many people are actually coming to us interested in fitness coaching in the DMs? Whether it's opt-ins for a lead magnet, I would consider those inbound leads because they're asking for something. But how many people may be interested in coaching that are actually actively reaching out to us? Then you have cost per lead. So what I mean by this is this only matters really if you're running ads. If you're not running ads, I wouldn't worry about this too much. Cost per lead is essentially just how much it relates. I'll keep it simple. It relates heavily to ad spend and how much it costs you to acquire a lead. So you can take your ad spend, divide it by the number of leads you have, and that'll get you your cost per lead, right? But technically there may be some other variables as well if you're not only running ads, but that can be, there's a whole complex process there. I'm gonna keep it very simple for you. Then you have your lead source breakdown. So you can imagine if I'm posting different videos, I wanna see where these leads are coming in from. For example, are they coming in from mainly Instagram? What Instagram videos are they coming from? Are they coming from carousels? Are they coming from Reels? A lot of you guys just shoot the shit with your content. It makes no sense to me. You can't shoot the shit, you need a process. Because once you have a process, you're gonna have a lot more clarity in terms of what you need to work on and what you need to do. So Instagram, what videos? What vids? Is it a carousel? Is it a video? Is it a certain post I'm doing? Is it a format? Look at the comments and see. Next, are they coming in from maybe YouTube, right? What specific YouTube videos am I getting the highest opt-ins from? There's little fancy ways you can do this with tracking links and stuff like that. I won't go into it today. I can make a future video on that if you guys want. But tracking which lead source they come from will allow you to be like, okay, what do I need to get rid of and what do I need to double down on? With content, what formats aren't converting at all or aren't bringing me any eyeballs? So which ones do I have to get rid of? And then which ones do I need to double down on? That's the question you want to ask yourself. Then we have sales process. Pretty simple here. All I need to know is booked calls per week. How many people are booking on your calendar? What's the show rate? How many people actually attend the calls, right? So you take your calls booked and you're gonna divide that by the calls taken. So then after booked calls per week, you have show rate, okay? Show rate basically means your total number of attended calls, right? So how many people are attending the calls over total number of calls booked. Then you're gonna take this, multiply by 100 to get your show rate. Then you have your close rate. How many people are you actually closing? Meaning cash collected, money signed. Not fucking deposit, meaning you collect a small amount later and then follow up. Not a follow-up, not a book in the calendar later, not a verbal commitment, actual cash collected. How many people do you agree on a payment plan or a payment process with, and do you actually commit to the coaching process? That is your close rate, okay? Basically, you take the total number of calls that you have, figure out how many of those that you close, and that is your close rate. Then you have cash collected per call. This is also pretty simple. You take the total amount of revenue and you just divide it by the number of calls you have. But this matters because we need to know how good we are doing at collecting cash up front, basically our cash flows, right? So with our cash flow in the business, we want to optimize with fitness coaching ideally. Instead of charging for 3 months, for $500 each month, you would want to do a $1,500 paid in full because this paid in full allows you to have a greater cash flow in your business. And then that way you can reinvest this back into ads quicker if you're doing ads. A lot of you shouldn't be. You need to master organic first. But that's just an example of why we want to prioritize these higher paying clients, not only for that, but also because it leads to higher commitment. So this will tell you that, right? What is your average cash collection per call? Do we need to go heavier on our paid in fulls? Do we need to offer different payment plans, et cetera? Then we have client economics. Really, what's the average contract value that someone signs up with? The average package value. So if someone signs up for a $3,000 program, puts $1,500 cash down, my cash collected on that call is $1,500. Contract value for the call is $3,000 because they signed a $3,000 contract that is, typically unearned revenue that we haven't earned yet. Then we have payment plan default rate. Of our customers, how many people that we do in-house payment plans with cancel the payment plan, default on their payment plan, don't hold up their commitments. This is a big sign of two things. Biggest thing I see is fulfillment, number one. Number two, you're taking on unqualified prospects because they can't actually afford your coaching service, which is not good. So that is no bueno as well, okay? We need to make sure we're taking on qualified prospects. We also need to make sure fulfillment is good. Usually if someone defaults on a payment plan, it's because your fulfillment sucked and they don't see the value in it. So that means get your fulfillment better. Then you have retention rate. How many clients are you retaining after your term is done? Lifetime value is the total amount of money the customer spends with you within a certain time period. This is just good to know, from a business economic standpoint. Then you have health of the business. You should know monthly recurring revenue. So on a month-by-month basis, how much can you expect or predict to make? This is your predicted income. This isn't variable. It's kind of, it's variable. I'm misleading you. It is variable, but it should be pretty constant because I would prefer to have a business with like a more firm, MRR rather than something that's fucking bouncing all over the place. So monthly recurring revenue just determines the stability of the business, right? How many months are you consistently earning this amount? This would be things like, payment plans, right? People that are, on payment plans for your coaching that are expected to pay. This would be people that are on monthly agreements, et cetera. Then you have churn rate. So how many people are you churning? And then net profit margin, which is just your revenues, but what you take home at the end of the month, your net profit, okay? These are the data that actually matter for your business, okay? I know it's a lot. So what I'll do is I'll narrow down into a couple things. What we're gonna talk about really today is a lot of the sales stuff, a lot of the DMs, and then we'll also go into a little bit of depth on content and how you can use your data there. First things first, we have all of these numbers, right? We have all these numbers here. We just did all this math. Now, what do we actually do with them? Well, let me introduce you something to reverse engineering. Reverse engineering is so powerful because I just did a webinar on this past Sunday, but let's say we take somebody whose goal, a fitness coach's goal is to make 30K a month. Cool, that may seem out of reach for him now because he's never done that before, which is fair, right? If you've never done something, it's probably gonna seem out of reach or unattainable, but it's possible and I'll show you how. Let's say you have a $3,000 offer that he's selling. He sells a $3,000 fitness coaching offer. Overall sales needed, if everybody pays in full or does a payment plan, we need 10. To gross 30, we need 10. Then you have to figure out, how do we actually do this? Now, in reality, you would kind of determine how many people, like what is the percentage of people that do payment plans? What's the percentage of people that pay in full? But I'm not doing all that. That's way too much math for this video. I would go nuts. So we're keeping it simple. But we need 10 sales needed, okay? If we have a close rate, meaning we close 25% of every call that we have, that means we have to multiply our 10 by 4 to get 40 calls. However, not everyone's gonna show up to a sales call. Not everyone's gonna show up to a consultation. So we need to factor that in when we're doing our mathematics here. Show rate. Let's say we have a 70% show rate in the business, meaning 70% of the time, someone books in a call, they'll show up. That means we need 57 booked calls to get to our 40 call number, which will then get us to our 10 call close number. And then from there, we take it a step farther. We look at your DMs. In the DMs of the conversations, the back and forths that you have, around 25% of people book appointments, which means you're gonna have 228 conversations, 57 of those are gonna book, 40 of those are gonna actually show up, and then you're gonna close 10 of them. That's what these numbers mean. Okay, now we get to the point of like, okay, how do we know what to fix here? How do we know what to fix? What are we actually gonna be working on here with our numbers to put ourselves and our businesses in the best possible position to be successful? Good question. That's when you talk about the domino effect. What the hell is a domino effect, JP? No, we're not playing Django, we're not playing dominoes here, let me teach you. The domino effect essentially means choosing the path of least resistance that's going to produce the highest leverage in the business. Meaning, if my show rate is 70%, the first thing I'm gonna do here in this business that I'm working with is be like, okay, why are only 70% of folks showing up to calls, assuming this is all organic traffic with organic numbers, meaning they didn't buy any ads to get people in, because with ad spend, it's gonna be a little bit lower, but like with organic marketing, show rate should always be really high. So I'm gonna be like, okay, why is it 70? Well, let's figure out what we can do. Currently at 70%, we need 40 calls to get 57 bookings. But what if we added a simple system where there was someone on a dialer that called the person as soon as they book an appointment to confirm, then they sent a text the morning of the appointment, 2 hours before the appointment, 30 minutes before the appointment, and 5 minutes before the appointment. And then we got show rate up to 90%. Hold on, now we only need 40 calls. Now to get 40 calls, we need 44 bookings. So we need the same number of calls, but the number of bookings we need drastically reduces. And this means a lot by just improving your qualification and your automation processes and follow-up processes. You're now able to take on, with 44 bookings, 40 calls, which is sweet, because now imagine, dude, if we had 57 bookings. Now more people are showing up, we're making more money. These are guys that wouldn't have even showed up in the first place. But now we're identifying revenue. It's awesome. We don't have to work harder. We just need to work smarter and know what our data means. Going back to the domino effect, some of you might say, JP, but there's still an issue where he's only closing 25% of people. Isn't that kind of low? Yeah, it's a little low. Why didn't I fix that first? The problem and why I didn't fix that first is because you have to think about close rate. What can affect close rate? A lot of variables. How good the offer is, how good your marketing is, how good the sales team is, how warm these leads are. Are they cold leads? Are they warm leads? How old are they? There's so many variables to tackle, whereas the show rate is often very simple. It's a systems issue. The close rate is often a skill set issue or an issue with the marketing and so on. Well, let's just assume skill set for now, because I don't want to go down that path, right? Obviously, if it's a good offer, you're going to have higher close rate just because there's virtually no risk in the good offer. We didn't do close first because it's complicated. All right, in order to get a 25% to a 35%, there's a lot of training that often needs to be done. A lot of training, meaning writing out the script, meaning role playing, meaning getting better at your sales skills, getting better at objection handling, focusing on specific skill sets is what it takes to get better at your closing skills. If we increase it to 35% though, to get 10 sales, now we only need 29 calls compared to our previous 40. And with a 70% show rate, we still need that 41 bookings and then 164 conversations? The thing is, improving the close rate from 25 to 35 is harder than improving your show rate in improving a systems issue. It just is. So I'm gonna tackle the close rate last. I'm gonna tackle the script last. I'm gonna tackle this stuff last. And then I'm gonna first focus on why are 30% of my fucking calls not showing up. And then from there, I can tackle close rate and optimize it. But there's no point if I don't optimize the easiest thing. So whenever you're in business and you're confused on where to go in your path, just ask yourself, what is the path of least resistance? What is the path of least resistance that's going to produce the highest leverage in the business? That's what is called the domino effect, all right? And just to show you what is possible with knowing your numbers, I actually want to walk you through a client case study. This is a client that I had worked with for quite some time. I'm not going to name drop him because I don't have I didn't even ask him to do this, so I'm not going to just leak his whole fucking revenue here. I think that'd be kind of a dick move. But I'll just walk you through what we did with him and how this actually works, right? So we took on this coach. He was plateaued, making around $8,000 a month. Now, I had calculated his metrics. We worked together for the first month. I went back in the calendar. We determined his metrics. We found out that the show rate on average was 60%, meaning 60% of every call he booked showed up in the calendar, meaning they showed up to and intended to call. Then we determined that out of those calls that showed up, there was a close rate of 25%, meaning if we divvy up the numbers, right, there's 20 bookings, we have 20 calendar bookings, 12 people show up and 3 of them close. That is not great at all. We busted our balls to get 20 people booked into the calendar and 12 fucking showed up and we only closed 3 of them? Oh, that is horrible. So I was cringing at these numbers, and the problem we identified was, okay, there's a sales issue going on, and there's a qualification and confirmation issue going on. So what do we do? First step, the domino effect. What do you think we did? We tackled the show rate. What did we do? We added a better pre-frame of the call to give a little bit of value to people. What a pre-frame means is just what you call the actual phone call. So instead of calling it like, the typical consultation call, we went into greater depth as to what they'd actually be getting on this call. So they looked forward to and got excited about it. That was the major change we made. Second change, simple go high level automation that was automated to send them a confirmation link as soon as they booked the appointment. Then the morning of, 2 hours before, 30 minutes before, 5 minutes before, custom DM messages sent out to confirm their appointment. If they didn't answer to any of them, they'd get a call from the owner, you'd get a ping, you'd call them, be like, yo, what's going on? I have spots to fill. Are you still good for this call? Yada, yada, and then be good to go. That was the major change we made on the actual systems backend. What this did was improve the show rate all the way from our 60 to 80%. Now, this guy was running paid ads, okay? So paid ads is a little bit more of a difficult ball game because you're gonna have a little bit more people that cancel, you're gonna have people that reschedule, et cetera. But we got his show rate up to 80%, which I was pretty happy with. Then we got his close rate up to 40% in a month. And that is fucking, I was ecstatic. And that was done through just working on his closing. We had to write out a script he didn't have a script, right? Wrote out a sales script for him, made a better process, added a pre-call video to nurture prospects, get them more warmed up, make it easier on him to close these calls. So we just worked on a couple things with his skill, added a couple systems in to better nurture leads, increase his close rate, and increase his show rate. So he's making $8K a month, right? We went from $8K consistent $18,000 to $21,000 months. I'll say that again. 8K to consistent $18,000 to $21,000 months with not even more fucking leads or bookings. We didn't increase ad spend. We didn't change anything. This is what happens when you know your fucking numbers and you know what to work on. Most people would have been, oh, let me throw more money in ads. Oh, let me just put more money in ads. And that's how you end up fucking broke. That's how you have nothing. You have to focus on what you need to fix because a problem will be a fucking problem if it's not fixed. It's still gonna be there, right? If my show rate's an issue, it doesn't matter if it's today, tomorrow, the next day, it's gonna be a fucking problem if I don't solve it. So I want you to solve your fucking problems and actually tackle it head on. Let me show you the math. 20 bookings, 80% show rate, the same number of bookings we originally had, okay? But now we get 16 people showing up. Now, we take our 16 calls, we multiply that by the 0.4 close rate, we get 6.4 sales a month, which is equal to 18K per month. Now, if 7 of those calls close, that's $21,000 a month. Didn't increase work ethic, didn't increase anything, increased our skill, increased our system efficiency, and just got better. Simple. People ask me if I have a secret hack. I always tell them, yeah, we just get better. There's no Krabby Patty formula, there's no hack, there's no glitch, right? It's just getting better at what you need to work on, having direction, and working hard. And that's what working hard gets you. We didn't even have to work harder to do this. We just improved the process and fucking doubled the amount he was making, more than doubled it. There's a lot that goes in behind the scenes to these things to actually, construct these numbers. Okay, before we wrap up here, I want to give you guys a little bit of context in terms of what numbers you need to track and how you want to track them. Ignore all this writing here. But overall, if you're not tracking your numbers, here's a simple system that you can build out pretty quickly to track them. JP, what do I use to track? Use a Google Sheet, all right? Use a Google Sheet. I know businesses earning well over $2 million, $4 million a month using a Google Sheet. I know, it's crazy, right? You think they have this complex shit? Nope, it's a Google Sheet. They just know how to use it and they know how to manage it right. So you wanna do anything that you're gonna be most consistent with, but what I would track is don't go too balls deep into it yet, like focus on the basics and mastering them. First thing you're gonna wanna do, DMs. How many inbound are you getting? How many outbound are you doing? Meaning how many leads are coming in? How many leads are you messaging? Then your conversations held. How many people you DM actually reply and you have a conversation back and forth with more than 2 messages? From those conversations, how many people book? What is your booking rate from those conversations? Then you go to the sales side. On the sales side, you take the calls taken, then you go qualified calls. Of the calls taken, how many were qualified, meaning had funds? Most of you are gonna say, oh, none of my calls are qualified. Guarantee you they can get money in some sort. Overestimate those qualified calls, be a little bit more generous with how many people you assume are qualified on your data, because it's better to do that than to assume that no one's qualified, right? I always think that it's a skill thing, you need to learn how to navigate that a little bit better. But then you do qualified calls, then you obviously want to calculate the show rate. You can divide the show rate into 2 things, right? Cancellations and reschedules. Then it's just, calls closed, deposits, maybe people who pay and then follow up later, follow-ups, and then the cash collected for the day, and then contract value for the day. And then I'll calculate all of the things that you need to know to run a successful business operation. But if you got a lot of value from this video, I'd encourage you to check out my free community, the Ascend Circle. In there, I have more in-depth breakdowns on content, sales, processes, all that jazz. You'll also get access to the calls that we host every single Sunday. And if you want more advanced help, there's a link in my bio as well. You can apply for the Ascend partnership, where we kind of do a lot of this with our clients and help them with tracking their metrics, with performing better, with giving them a direction so that they actually know what they're doing on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. But appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hope you guys got some value in this, and I'll see you in the next one.